Okay, madam. Live start any.
Okay, sir.
Madam. Okay.
Yeah, sir. Start in the.
Madam. Start చేయండి.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Yeah, good afternoon, one and all. Good afternoon, children. This is Sucharita, TGT Social Studies, Telangana Model School, Atmakures. Today, we are going to discuss about the 10th class third unit, that is the production and the employment. And today's topic is the employment, and this is the last topic of this session. So today I'm going to conclude this session with this employment. So before I enter into the session and the topic, I want to go through that what does the employment mean. Employment is a contract between the two parties, one being the employer and the other being the employee. So here, who is the employer? Employer is a person who employs the employee or who organizes the organization or the entrepreneurship, and he is in a productive activity. So he'll be producing different types of goods or commodities which are necessary for the consumers. Okay, so that person is called as the employer. Then who is the employee? Employee is a person who contributes his labor to the enterprise or the organization or the entrepreneurship. And in return, what does he want? In return, he is expecting for the payment of the wages or the salaries. So this is the contract between the employer and the employee. So employment means it is a contract between the two parties, one being the employer and the other being the employee. It is a commercial setting that the employer conceives a productive activity generally with the intention of creating profits. So what is the main intention of the employer? He wants to create the profits based on the work or based on the organization which he take. And what is the employee contributes? He contributes the labor to the enterprise and usually in return for payment of wages or the salaries. So what I want to conclude, so I can't give a state today to the extent that the employment or the economic equivalent is not universal, unemployment exists. So we can't directly give a statement that all are employed or are unemployed. So we can't give. So we can say that employment is not universal. So coming to the next slide. What is the next slide? That the employment is based on the active mode and the inactive mode. So who are called as active and who are called as inactive? First, I want to take the topic of active. Actively employed. How they are employed? They are employed based on the self-employment. So they have been established a small scale industry on their own, or they may be employee with any production or on government schemes. He may be working with the government schemes, or he may be or she may be the unpaid workers. So these are called as a active employed. When it comes to inactive, what they are? The people who are depending upon their family, like looking after by their family, or short-term sick, or discouraged workers, or long-term sick, students, retired. So these all people come under the inactive. Here, actual labor supply is less than the potential labor supply. Okay, so the actual labor supply is less than the potential labor supply. Now, employment. How do we get the employment? We get the employment based on the occupation or the job we do or the career we choose or the work which we do. So this is the employment. How do we get? Here in this slide, we can observe a pie chart. In this, they are showing us the employment opportunities. You are going to get the employment opportunities through different ways. One, the 46% of the employment opportunities are given by the management and the business, and 25% is given by the scientific and the engineering. and 16% is given by the agricultural and forestry production. And the 13% is given by the education, communication, and governmental services. So which gives the highest opportunity? 46% with the management and the business, and which gives a little less, which gives a less one here, education, communication, and the government sector is with the 13%. Among all of them, it is the least. So coming to the next topic, what are the benefits of the employee? So what are the benefits which the employee is going to enjoy? He has health insurance, dental insurance, life insurance, a retirement after 58 years or 60 years, vision care, fitness, vacation leave, casual leaves, sick leaves, and childcare. So these are the benefits which are enjoyed by the employee, especially in the organized sector. Next, this is a small activity which I am going to give you, children. So here they gave a table. In this table, if you observe the distribution of workers in India in the financial year of the 2017 and 18, we are looking here. Here they gave about the three sectors, as we have been learned in the past previous classes also, the three sectors: agriculture, industry, and the service. And they gave the place of residence, means where they are living. So here they gave rural, urban, and we also have one more, that is the tribal. So what is rural? The people who live in the villages and the small towns are called as a rural. Then who are called as urban people? The people who lives in the big towns and the cities are called as the urban. And here they also gave the gender. So male are also working in these sectors and female are also working. So based on this table, read the above table and fill in the blanks. First, I am going to help you. The remaining is your activity in the worksheet. Majority of the workers in agriculture are living in. So if you observe, then you can see that who are more. Majority of the workers in agriculture, we observe in the rural areas. We observe here, if you observe, we observe in the rural areas with a 59.8%. And who are working more according to the gender, male or the female? Female are working more with a 57.2%. And when it comes to second blank, I'll explain you. Third and the fourth is your activity. What does the second says about that? Most dash workers are employed in agriculture sector. So if you observe the agriculture sector, here, who are employed more in the agriculture sector, in the rural area or the urban area? Rural area. And if we compare the gender, who are more? Female. So rural area and the female are employed more in the agriculture sector. And only a small section are dash in the industrial sector. So if you observe the industrial sector, rural area, people are working less in the industries, urban are working more. And if you observe the gender, male are working more and the female are working less. So I conclude that this blank answer is rural area and female are less in the industrial sector. Okay, so 2 I have been explained to based on the table. The remaining 2 is your activity. So please complete this activity in your worksheet, children. Next, what does the structural unemployment mean? Here they give a small meaning or a definition. Structural unemployment occurs when the demand for labor is less than the supply of labor in an individual labor market. So what do they say? The demand for labor is less, but the supply is more. Example, actually the demand is for only 100 members, but there are 200 members of labor. There are 200 members of labor. Then what does it mean? Only 100 members get the opportunity to work there. The remaining 100 are not getting any opportunity. Okay, so that is called as a structural unemployment. So why do it occur? Here, the first reason is decline of manufacture. So because the demand for the labor is less and the supply is more, the manufacture is declining. Okay, that is a decrease of manufacturing. Next, occupational immobility. Mobility mean what? Moving from one place to another. But what do they say here? Immobility. Think one person is a farmer who is in a particular profession of occupation of farming or any other agriculture sector. He's not moving from that occupation. He's sticking to that same occupation. When he doesn't have the opportunity in that occupation, he has to move to the other. But some are moving, but some are not moving. Coming to the next, geographical immobility. If think in one place we don't have the choice of doing the getting the employment, then what does we do? We have to change ourselves. Like if we observe the villages, not now, in the past years, that the agriculture labor who used to work in the villages, they came to the cities and the towns to work as a labor. But because of the COVID, they went back actually. So geographical immobility mean they are going, they have to go to the different places for the opportunity. Robotic replacing jobs, robots. So we know very well that a sophisticated machinery is coming nowadays, and the robots also are doing much of the work. Instead of the manual work, we are taking the help of the robots. When it comes to foreign competition rising and imports. Foreign competition means we know very well that import means we are bringing some other country's goods to our country and we are consuming them. But that is not right. What we have to do is all the consumers has to use the Indian products to improve our GDP, to increase our GDP. Now, long-term regional decline. Long-term regional decline means for a long term, regional means any particular region, it is declining. Means sometimes what is happening is we are using other foreign country goods and we are improving their trade. We are improving the trade over there. So because of that, what is happening? We are losing. That shouldn't happen. So here, especially, that's why Narendra Modi sir have been banned the China goods, which we are importing from the China, and we are nowadays starting our own production, and we are going to use our own apps and the own products and the things. When it comes to the next topic, disincentives. Disincentive mean financial disadvantagement, which discourages a particular action. So it is affecting us through finance, means through the money matters or the monetary matters. So how does it affect? It discourages us, means they are not increasing our incentives or they are not increasing our salaries or something. Because of that, it discourages the particular person's action. Coming to the outsourcing. Outsourcing means majority without taking the regular staff, the much of the industries and the factories are giving importance to the contract based jobs. By that, if they come under the contract job, then no need to they'll pay only the salary. They don't have many leaves or particular casual leaves, or they don't have any particular week holiday, and they don't have any health insurance. All these no need to give. If he or she comes under the organized sector or the particular rules, under some rules and regulations, then they have to pay many of the remunerations, etc. So this is a structural unemployment which is caused based on these few reasons. Next, if you look at this slide, you can understand that the people are moving from one place to the another. They are not nomads. Who are they? They are the people who are moving to their native place at the time of the lockdown. So we know that on March 22nd, the lockdown have been taken place. So these people, the production all the factories have been closed, industries have been closed, the production have been closed. So what happened? The labor are sitting idle. So instead of sitting idle here without the food and accommodation, what did they think? They want to go back to their native places or the native areas. So they went to their native areas. But as they did not have any transportation, they went by walk. We have been seen in the news channels. We have been observed the same topic in the newspapers also. Okay, so because of the lockdown, unemployment have been increased. So how it have been increased? Now we are going to observe. So if you observe this bar graph, what do you observe here? The rural and the urban unemployment. Unemployment rate saw an immediate spike after India imposed the lockdown in the late March. So what they are showing here, first, yellow line is the urban unemployment and the blue line is the rural unemployment. So what I want to explain here is, before the lockdown, urban unemployment was a little more compared to the rural unemployment. But when we see after the lockdown, what have been happened is that the urban unemployment have been drastically changed or increased compared to the rural. Why not in rural? As just now we spoke that many of the people or the labor went back to their native places and they started working in the agriculture sector. So everyone sat at home, or some people have been done the work through their work from home. But farmers are the only persons in the total India or in any country who worked restlessly even in the pandemic situation also. So they struggled a lot for the sake of the remaining people in the India. So that's why when we compare the urban unemployment, the rural unemployment is a little less. Okay, children? Next, what does a disguised unemployment mean? What does it mean? Mean that apparently that person is working in a particular place, but the employer is not able to utilize that person's or that labor's capacity or the potential, we can say. So in the words of definition, I want to give a small definition. What does a disguised unemployment mean? When people are apparently mean right now at that particular situation, working, where they are working in the different places of industries, organization, or the factory or the entrepreneur. But all of them are made to work less than their potential. So they have a lot of capacity. The labor has a lot of capacity to do the work, but the organization is not utilizing the total capacity, whatever the person or the labor which they have. Such type of unemployment is called as a disguised unemployment. That is, when a person does not have a job, it is clearly visible that he is unemployed. Think, a person is sitting idle at his home, then what do we call him or her? That they are unemployment. As they don't have any job, they are called as a unemployed. But when an organization is not able to utilize their potential, then such type of unemployment is called as a disguised unemployment. So how many people are working in such situations? There are thousands of casual workers in the service sector, especially in the service sector and especially in the urban areas who search for daily employment. So every day they are in a search of daily employment. They'll be going and sitting in a particular place called Adda. There they'll go and they'll sit. And we also have been learnt about these casual workers in the 7th class in the paper mill lesson. That we have permanent workers, temporary workers, and casual workers. Only based on the work, the organization or the mill owner will call them for the work. And they don't have the permanent or the regular job. They don't have the regular job. So who comes under such disguised unemployment? They are employed as the painters, plumbers, repairing persons, and other doing odd jobs. Many of them don't find regular jobs, hence this is also considered as a disguised unemployment. So just now I spoke the same word, that people who don't have a regular job also comes under or are considered as the disguised unemployment. Next, when a person does not have a job, it is open unemployment. If any person, he or she, does not have any job, then it is called as a open unemployment. But whereas when a person is made to work less than his potential, it is called as the discussed unemployment. So same topic, just now we have been discussed about it. Now, coming to the NREGA scheme. So before it was also called as the MNREGA. Now it is called as NREGA. What it is? National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Before, when it was called as the MNREGA, it was called as Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act scheme. So what does it mean? It means that how many days we have in a year? We have 365 days. Among the 365 days, 100 days employment should be given by the government under government schemes. Okay, so that 100 days employment should be given here. So under the same, I am giving you in the form of the definition here. Under National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005. So this have been come into effect from the since 2005. All those who are able to, means the people or the labor who are able to do the work and who are in need of, who has a need of work, both comes under this scheme. So work have been guaranteed for how many days? 100 days of employment in the year by the government. If the government is not able to provide them the work which they are in need, then they have to pay some amount or they have to give some allowances. So if the government fails in its duty to provide employment, it will give unemployment allowances to the people. So what they are providing? They are providing the unemployment allowances to the people. Now, coming to here, another activity. Here, they have been given us two pie charts. One pie chart says about the sectoral shares of employment. Okay, sectoral means based on the three sectors. That is which we learned in the past lesson or the previous classes, that is agriculture, industry, services. Industry, as per the 1973 and the 74 financial year, the agriculture was more with a 74%. And when we observe 2017 and 18, the agriculture have been reduced to the 44. Industry, a slight, we can see the slight change, approximately 14% have been, 14% increased in the industry. And when it comes to the service sector, it was 15%. Now it is, as per the 2017-18, 31%. So what I want to say is, you observe the pie charts which are given here and answer the fill in the following table, whatever they have been given based on the employment percentage and based on the gross domestic percentage. So everything is there itself. Just you have to write the percentages in it. So this is the activity which you have to complete in your, worksheet book. Next, different sectors in employment. So based on the terms and the conditions and the work where they are doing in a particular place and based on some acts, so the employment is divided into two different parts or two different sectors. One is organized and the other is unorganized. Now we'll learn what it is. Activities in the economy are sometimes classified on the basis of the employment conditions. So on the basis of the employment conditions, we are differentiating the employment into two sectors. This classification looks at the way people are employed and their conditions of work. So where they are employed and what are their working conditions, and also sees, are there any rules and regulations that are followed by the regards of the employment as regards the employment of the workers. So what I want to explain you here is that the people where they are working and in which conditions they are working, and are they following the rules and regulations which have been given by the government specially. All these are based on this classification only we divide the employment. So based on this classification, we divide them as the organized and the unorganized sector. So now we enter into the first organized sector. But before that, I want to explain you a small example which have been given in the textbook to us. So examples of two sectors from the textbook. One, they gave Narsimha and the other is Rajeshwari. So who is Narsimha? Narsimha works in the government office. He attends his office from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. He uses his motorbike to travel from his house. Okay, and he gets his salary. The office which is about 5 kilometers away, and he gets his salary regularly at the end of the every month, and which is deposited in his bank account in addition to the laid down by the government, and also gets medical leave, medical and the other allowances. Narsimha does not go to office on the Sundays. Sunday is a holiday. This is a paid holiday. When he joined work, he was given an appointment letter stating all the terms and conditions of the work. So this is about the organized sector, that rules and regulations are there. Every month he receives his salary through the bank account. Just he's staying 5 kilometers away from his home, and he'll go to his workplace through a motorbike. And his particular timings, if you observe the timings, 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And Sundays, he won't go to his work. So all these, and he have been given an appointment letter. Now, if we observe and if we differentiate between the Narsimha and the Rajeshwari, Rajeshwari is working as a construction labor or a worker. She goes for work at 7 a.m. and returns at 7 p.m. So observe the timings. She travels 8 to 15 kilometers daily for work by bus. He will go by motorbike just 5 kilometers away from his place, but she has to move through a bus, that too approximately 8 to 15 kilometers. And construction workers only get 1 hour lunch break in between. That is from between 1 p.m. to the 2 p.m. And she gets work only for 10 to 15 days. 10 to 15 days. On the remaining days, she has no work. So such type of people are called as casual workers. Okay, they'll get the work only for few days. The other few days they should be they have to sit either at home, or they have to be in search of any other work which they can do. And she does not get any wages. So probably when they don't go for any work or the thing, probably we don't have wages. So she gets only rupees 150 per day as wages. If she goes for the work also, just she's going to earn 150 rupees only. And mostly she's paid the wages on the same day in the evening. Monthly she won't get, or fortnight she won't get, or weekly she won't get. She'll do the work from the morning to the evening, and while coming home, she'll take the money and she'll come back. And when she works for 3 or 4 days at the same day, she is paid after the work is completed. She gets more work from February to June. July to January is unseasoned. So there are seasonal. So these are also called as a seasonal jobs. So based on the season, like agriculture jobs are also called as a seasonal jobs. When there is no season, the labor won't get the work. Here we have 2 types of jobs. So, but she is a member of self-help group, SHG, in her locality. And the government will pay some compensation in case of death or the major injury when she is at work. Unfortunately, she have been met with an accident or anything, and with the bad luck, she got any injury, or she's dead over there, then she's going, as she's a member of the SHG group, her family is going to get some amount in the form of compensation. So there is no help from the government for the treatment in accidents while working. If she got injured or any other major problem have been come, then the government is not helping her with any medical they don't provide any money for the treatment. And she's also a part of the group that works under a mason. Okay, a person who construct the buildings or the house is called as a mason, and she's working under that group. There are 6 to 10 workers under each mason. So every mason will be controlling a group of 6 to 10 members. So she or he will be among them. So whenever they have work, they are going to get the wages. If they don't have the work, they don't have the remuneration or the wages. So if we observe, the Narasimha is in the organized group with some rules and regulations which have been given by the government. But Rajarishwari is working under the conditions of unorganized group where some rules and regulations are there which are given by the government, but which are not followed by the people. Okay. So next, what is organized sector? The organized sector covers those enterprises or places of work where the terms of employment are regular and therefore people have assured work. So just now we spoke also that the employment is regular and as well as they have some assured work, that this work has to be done by them only. Okay, in the enterprises or a place of work. They are registered by the government and have to follow the rules and regulations which are given in the various laws, such as factory acts. So according to the factory, some acts are there. Minimum wages. So when they work for 8 to 10 hours, minimum so much amount should be given in the form of the minimum wages. That also one act is there. Payment of gratuity act. Okay, some gratuity also has to be given to them. And as shops and establishment act means when we want to establish any shop or anything, we have to follow some rules and regulations and we have to inform the government and they have to take the permission from them that we want to establish an industry or we want to establish any shop. This is called as organized because it has some formal process and the procedure. So we will follow some formalities and the procedures and the process to go through. So that's why it is called as a organized sector. Some of these people may not be employed by anyone, but may work on their own. So in the starting of the session, I told that some of the people employ themselves through a small scale industry and giving a chance to some people to work in them. And as well as they'll take the permission from the government and they'll start a small industry at their home or a small place. Such type of people, they too register themselves with the government and follow the rules and regulations. That's why they are called as a self-employed. So they're employing themselves self-employed through an organization, and they're also giving an opportunity to other people also who has a knowledge or the ability to work in that such works or the conditions. Now, organized sector. So up to we have been discussed the same whatever I taught, that only is going to be come in this paragraph, but I want to read once for you people. The sectors which carries out all activity through a system and follows the laws of the land is called organized sector. Moreover, labor rights are given due respect. The people who are working are called as a labor. So they have some rights that the factory or the industry should be in a large area. It should have good ventilation and all the provision should be given to those people to work with their full satisfaction. Okay, and due respect of the wages as per the norms of the country and those of the industry also. And labor working organized sector get the benefit of social security net as framed by the government. Certain benefits like provident fund, PF we will be saying, and leave entitlement. Whenever we want any leave based on the conditions we'll take. Medical benefits, when we are not feeling well, some benefits also will get from them. And insurance are provided to the workers in the organized sector. So all these terms and conditions are only applicable to the organized sector, but they are not applicable to the unorganized sector. That's why their life and their job is insecure. They are not secure. So these security provisions are necessary to provide source of subsistence in case of the disability or death of the main breadwinner of the family. If unfortunately the person came to the industry or a factory and he started working near the machinery and some accident have been taken place. So he got injuries that he is not able to do the work. That is called as a disability. Or unfortunately, he is dead. Then what happens? The organization will give them some compensation, and based on not only that, even they have a source that one of the family member may get the job in the place of the breadwinner of the family. So these are the some examples of the organized sector. So you observe the people working on the sophisticated machinery, and this is under the garment sector. It is a bank and the police, female police officials. And here you can look that the women who are working in an organization in the stitching the garments, which they are going to sell them in the markets or worldwide also. Next, this is a example of organized sector under the construction. Okay, they are constructing a big apartment or a commercial complex. So these are the examples. Now, what are the advantages if we are working under the organized sectors? What they are going to provide us? Facilitate the high quality intermediation. Okay, high quality we get, and foster professionalism and transparency. Means everything is shown transparent. We can know what is happening, what has to be done, what sort of things has to be done, or what not to be done. National reach and the consistent offerings. We can reach throughout the nation through our work and the produce. And the provide impetus to the commodity market and generate higher volumes. So we get we can provide the market for our commodity or the good which we are going to provide if we work under the organized sector. So these are the advantages if we are under the organized sector. Now, coming to the second topic, that is unorganized. So up to now we learned about what is organized, some norms, conditions, rules, regulations under the control of the government. All these comes under the organized sector in a particular place or a working land. Now, what is unorganized then? Here, what is unorganized mean? The unorganized sector is characterized by small and scattered units. So how it will be? There will be small and scattered units which are largely outside the control of the government. So these small and scattered units which are working are not under the control of the government. That's why they are called as an unorganized sector. Actually, some norms have been given by the government, but they are not followed. So there are rules and regulations, but these are not followed. So just now I told you, jobs here are low paid. Actually, they'll make them to do the more work, but the wages are less and often not regular. As just now I told that these jobs are not regular. That's why they are coming under the unorganized. And there is no provision for overtime. Means they may do the work for more time, overtime, but still they are not paid the more amount. If any person works for more time, then they should be paid more amount, but that is not happening. Paid leave. They don't have paid leaves also. But in the organized sector, they have the paid leaves also. Holidays. Every weekly once holidays. And these people, they don't have any holidays. Sometimes they have to do leave due to sick. If they are not feeling well, they don't have any sick leave. They can't avail any sick leaves. So, and this here, employment is not secure. Just now I told, in organized sector, the employment is secured. But in the unorganized sector, the employment is not secure. That is the difference between both the sectors. People can be asked to leave without any reason. Okay, if entrepreneur or the employer is not willing to make some person to work in his institution, he won't intimate. Without the intimation itself, he'll say that today onwards, no need to come to the work, or tomorrow onwards, don't come to the work. So the people are losing their work when there is less work. In which conditions? When there is less work or without any reason. And some people may be asked to leave without any reason also. And a lot also depends on the whims of the employer. Just now I told. So it depends on the person's attitude of, or the main attitude of the employer, or the thinking of the employer. Unorganized sector. So in this unorganized sector, the unorganized sector is characterized by small and scattered units, which are largely outside the control of the government. Just now we read about it. And we also discussed there are rules and regulations, but these are not followed since they are not registered with the government. Okay, they are not registered. If they are registered, they have to follow the norms and rules compulsory. Examples. Here they gave some examples of the unorganized sector. What are they? Shopkeeping, farming, domestic works, laboring, rickshaw pulling. Here you can see domestic work and the rickshaw puller as the unorganized. And here they gave a small graph. So blue color indicates the index of the real NNP. NNP means net national product. And red color indicates the share of the unorganized sector to the total NDP. NDP means net domestic product. In the previous class, we learned about the GDP, NNP, NDP. Okay, so this also here, if you observe the red line, it is declining. Okay, actually, it is not increasing. So it is declining day by day. It is declining from the top to the bottom if you observe the graph. Okay, so this is the share of the unorganized sector to the total NDP as it is declining or it is decreasing. Okay, next, these are some examples of the unorganized sector. So if you observe here, the people who are working in the different occupations or the works which come under the unorganized sectors. And this is also a part of the agriculture sector, but this also comes under the unorganized sector. Now, we are going to learn about the advantages of the unorganized sector and disadvantages of the unorganized sector. What are the advantages? Some which we see: convenient location and lower investment. Okay, so with a less investment, we can start a small factory or a industry. And if we have a convenient location, that is one advantage. Benefit pass on customer due to low operational cost. Okay, so as the investment is less, they'll produce the good or the commodity with the less amount and they'll sell with a little profit only to the consumers. So the consumer gets the benefit. It is a benefit to the consumer. Flexibility in the operation depending on the demand. So if the demand is more, they'll try to produce some more. By that they can produce more and more. Promotion of sale by allowing credit sale means actually if we go to any shop, we'll pay the amount directly, then we'll take the product what we need from the shop. But sometimes here they are giving on the credit basis also. In some places, we can go with the credit basis. These are the advantages. But we also have some disadvantages. What are they? Less scope of allowing discount. We don't have the scope of discount at all. Delayed information of new arrival. Okay, so we don't have the information that the new arrivals are there in the market or the new things which have been come in the market, and lack of specialty products in the attractive ambience. Okay, we don't have the special products are not found in the market or in an attractive way. So what happens is the people or a consumer will be looking for the attractive commodity or a product to purchase. If it is not in an attractive way, probably they won't purchase. So it is a loss to that particular sector or the organization. Then, how shall we protect the workers, especially the unorganized sector, as some norms and conditions are not followed? This is not directly under the control of the government and not registered, especially in the rural areas. In rural areas, people like cobblers, small and marginal farmers, weavers, carpenters, etc., are working under the unorganized sector. So they are protected. How they are protected? By providing the loans at low rate of interest. So when we read about the Rajeshwari's example there, she was a member of SHG. So if she goes to any organized bank or a government bank, then she'll get some amount in the form of loan for the less interest. Even these people also has to be given supportive by the government, providing inputs at subsidized rates. So this will be seen with the farmers. They are the government, the central government is providing the urea or the fertilizers under the subsidy scheme. Okay, So subsidy means reducing the actual price. Some is paid by the government and some is paid by the farmer directly. Giving adequate storage and the transportation facilities. Like they have been produced, the farmers are producing different types of crops. That has to be stored first. They are producing adequately, but it should also be kept stored in a place where it should be. So when it is stored well, then the transportation also should be well enough. By that we can send it to the different parts of the country or the states, to the different markets. We can sell them and the farmer gets the good profits. Okay, providing market outlets for the sales of the goods, whatever that is about the farmer, and this is about a organizer or a person who is maintaining a small factory or industry. Whatever he have been produced or she have been produced, they need a market to sell their goods and get some profits. Okay, so by this we can try to protect the unorganized sector people or the labor. So here is a small slides which says about the production. So what is production? The production of any good or service requires work and activity. If you want to produce anything, then what do we need? We require work and the activity. Labor does the activity of the production of the goods and services. So who does this activity? The labor does this activity of producing the goods and services. Labor can be employed. So just now we learned in the unorganized sector in a small location. Okay, if it is good enough, that location is good enough, no problem. But it is suffocating, means it is not sufficient. Okay, more number of machinery is there and less place is there. They are not doing their work with a full satisfaction. Then the laborers can be employed on a piece of land in the factories or offices. It shouldn't be in a small piece of land, at least minimum land they have to maintain. Depending on the working conditions of the laborers, there are two sectors. Just now it's a small glance which we have been read up to now in these two sectors in the form of the sentence or the context here. There are two sectors. We have the organized sector and the unorganized sector of employed persons. Who are organized? Workers in organized have fair wages, job security, adequate facility for the work, health environment. So all the people should have a healthy environment to do their work. And what jobs comes under them? Jobs in the government, banks, police, educational institutions, and MNC, multinational companies, etc. Workers in unorganized sectors have low wages, irregular work, poor work environment, and low social status. Okay, so all these are the problems which are seen in the unorganized sector. Who comes under them? Weavers, fishermen, building and construction, scavengers, barbers, vegetable vendors. These are some examples who come under the unorganized sector. Then unorganized sector includes self-employed people and contract and the casual laborers. Okay, it also includes whom? Self-employed, contract and casual workers also are a part of the unorganized sector. So if you observe in the next picture or the slide, a person is self-employed by making the bricks in a brick kiln. Now, this is the important topic, that the difference between the organized sector and the unorganized sector. And it is also important as per your examination point of view. And the activities which have been given to you are also important as per your examination point of view, because they'll be giving you the pie charts and they'll ask you to analyze it or interpret it. So you should observe, you should be a keen observer to answer that question. Here, they gave the few differences between organized and unorganized. Now I'll read. Workers have job security in the organized sector. And here in unorganized, workers do not have job security. Workers get regular monthly salary. But here these people get only daily wages. Rules and regulations are followed here. Rules and regulations are not followed in the unorganized. Workers benefit like provident fund, paid leave, medical benefits. But workers do not get any such benefits in the unorganized sector. Working hours are fixed here. But working hours are not fixed. Sometimes they work 10 to 12 hours without any gap in between or without taking any rest. It is called the organized sector because it has some formal process and procedures, but this does not have any formal procedure or the process. Excuse me. Working conditions are favorable, so they'll be enjoying their work, but the working conditions are not favorable in the unorganized sector. Okay, so these are the some important differences between the organized and the unorganized sector. So in this session, up to now, what we have been learned. We learned about what is employment, the problems which we see in the unemployment, what does the discussed unemployment mean, what is organized sector, what is unorganized sector, and the difference between these two sectors. Up to now, we have been learned about these important topics of this lesson. And this is my last session or the last class for this topic. Now, I thank you everyone who have been a part of this session and who have been a part of this class. And I thank every person, a technical person or everyone, all the sirs who have been supported me to do my work successfully. And thank you everyone and one and